Hello. This research study is intended to answer the question direct instruction to small groups in a sixth grade mathematics classroom. How does student achievement change? So, again, the question that is being focused on is does the frequent incorporation of small group instruction have an impact in student achievement growth, academic growth in comparison to direct instruction? So, the background of the students that were in this research study is that they are a sixth grade mathematical class in East Tennessee County. They are heterogeneously comprised. They are a varying academic level. They are low income and economically disadvantaged. They are considered to be Title I. They are also considered bubble students. So, in other words, they are being looked at to hopefully get them to be proficient, whereas instead of being basic or below basic, they are not any ESL or special education students in this class. So, the background of small groups in East Tennessee, specifically the county, that is that the East Tennessee County does not require small groups. It is heavily encouraged by the central office, but most teachers in the school do not utilize small groups. Teachers across the county have a varying opinion on the use of small groups, especially in the middle school setting. So, the literature review that was used is that the research studies mostly concluded in varying grade levels that small groups do show academic growth. The small group implementation looked similar in all the grade levels. Rigor was the biggest difference. Small groups were all intended to help low scoring students, and most of the studies were over the duration of at least half a school year. There were a few of the research studies that concluded that small groups did not show academic growth, including Teresa A. Storm's research of a first grade classroom. So, the method that was used is that 16 students were used in the action research study. A checklist over six standards was used over the course of 3 weeks to gather data during the actual small group instruction. After the first four standards were taught that were on that checklist, a benchmark was given to compare to the first one that was taken in October when direct instruction was predominantly used. These steps were repeated with the other standards for the second benchmark. At the end of the small group research study, a survey was given to the students about the implementation of small groups. So the respondents was that the class consisted of 21 students, but only 16 had permission to have their research and results used in the study. The participation rate was 76.2%. The age of the students ranged from 11 to 13 years of age, with 2 students at 11 years old, 12 students at 12 years old, and 2 students at 13 years old. So here are some results. So this first chart is showing the mastery level of students based off of those six standards. The six standards are labeled at the bottom, and you can see that the students were used. The students that were used, you're seeing the results of their small group instruction. And here is a comparison of the benchmark results from the first one given in October to the second one given in March. This is over the first four standards that was mentioned previously. You can see that the results did not show a significant growth. There was a slight 53% compared to 57%, but it was not a large growth at all. In this chart, this is comparing the second set of standards that was first implemented in December and then given again in March. The comparative test was, and here you see there was no growth in the academic growth of the students from the one given with direct instruction compared to the one given with small group instruction. This graph is used based off of data that is from Appendix E. Appendix E is a chart that shows TCAP scores, iReady scores, as well as the three benchmark scores that were given. This is showing this is projecting the proficiency rate of the students from this classroom based off of all of that information. And it was important to include because the third benchmark that was given by the state was given during the time that small group instruction was implemented. This is also using the information from Appendix E. And again, the third benchmark was given during the time of small group instruction being implemented. And you can see that there is 11.1% growth given, there was a growth of 11.1% between the first and third benchmark that was given. Again, the first benchmark was given during predominantly direct instruction, and the third one was given during predominantly small group instruction. And then here we have the results of the survey that was given to the students. You can see that the questions are given there as well as their possible responses. And you can see that the students themselves did not think that small group instruction had any effect on their academic growth. However, they did like having the small group instruction because they felt more comfortable with asking questions and interacting with the teacher in the small group setting. And then in conclusion, small groups did not show any significant growth in comparison to direct instruction. The sixth grade students also did not feel like small groups helped them, but they did like the interaction between themselves and the teacher. The recommendations for the furthering of this research study is that it needs to be during a longer time period. The 3 weeks that was used to gather data and to implement the small group instruction was just a little short in comparison to especially the research studies that were gathered beforehand before implementing this personal one. Also, implementation of small groups needs to happen before direct instruction instead of the second semester. If the students are in the small groups, you might be able to see the a growth before you implement the direct instruction. And also, the content itself needs to not be taught previously before the implementation of small group instruction.